Does Apple have the corner on the coolness factor, on the innovative factor in its particular space?
Well, they really seem to. If you think back to when the iPod was released in 2001, I mean, I think we would define innovation as really a game-changing kind of event that changed people's lives. And if you think about when the iPod was released, it forced people to, it changed the way that they listen to music, it changed the way that they purchase music, and it forced the music industry to really look at that as a viable alternative for their content. And then you look at what's going on now with their Apple TV release, sort of a game-changing product within the home. And of course, with the iPhone coming out later this year, we think that that will also be a seminal event for the company.
And Brent, do you think that Microsoft lives in Apple's shadow, or is it too simple? Is that too simple an explanation of why they always seem to be a year or so behind in products?
Sue, I think they are living in the shadow. You look at Vista. It's long overdue. A lot of the features are really just playing catch-up. They're not enabling Microsoft to pull ahead of the user interface and the experience that Apple has created. But I think it's important to note that there are over 800 million PCs running worldwide that run Windows, 450 million run Office. So this is going to be a compelling upgrade. Our view is that it will just take time. And we don't expect anyone's going to be camping out for this release. But
you know, Brent, is there anything wrong with Microsoft being the provider to the masses? You know, I mean, obviously they're behind Apple in one way, but if you look at businesses, most of them are going to use the Microsoft product. The Apple product is cooler, but you know, the iPhone, I don't think most businesses are going to pay $500 for an iPhone.
Right, I agree. There is really no reason why that the enterprise market is going to switch over. So I don't think that's a problem for Microsoft. If you look at the majority of the enterprises, they're going to stick with Microsoft. They're going to continue to forge ahead with their relationships. Just in terms of the consumer side, I do think that they are far behind. The one area that they have done well is on the Xbox. They're right now currently running 5 times ahead relative to their next nearest competitor in shipments. So they have shown their ability in the consumer side to actually forge into that market and do well when everyone was betting against them back in 2001. I think you look at the Zune, to your other speakers' comments, I think that the Zune is way behind, and Apple does have a clear advantage.
So, you know, Richard, that brings us to Apple and whether or not they will remain very successfully so, for lack of a better word, a niche player. I mean, they've never really wanted, as far as we can tell, to appeal to the masses, and they've done just fine. Thank you very much.
They have done very well, and I mean, the backbone of their business is more focused on the consumer market. I will say that I think you're starting to see them make some inroads with Macs in the enterprise space. If you look at the growth rates, it was 28% in their most recent quarter, which is about 3 times the industry average. And if you look at their switch over to Intel microprocessors last year, which increases the speed and the robustness of their application. So I think that is maybe an appealing factor to enterprises. So I think you could see them gain some share there. But certainly in certain respects, they are more of a niche player relative to Microsoft, at least on the enterprise side.
Yeah, and on the enterprise side, would they be wise to go further into that area, or should they stick to their knitting?
No, I think that they can make some inroads in the enterprise space, and I think that's an area that they should look to attack and penetrate in that particular area. And that's a big part of our thesis of why we feel strongly on the stock and have a strong buy recommendation on the name.
Even at these levels?
Yeah, even at these levels. Our 12-month target price is $119 a share, and we think even given our estimates, that only gets you to about 30 times our fiscal 08 number if they're able to hit that target over the next 12 months. And we think that's reasonable given the new product advancements that are coming out and given the penetration and the market share that they have in the MP3 space.
Okay, what about the stock options backdating problem and Steve Jobs? How much of this price target is dependent on Steve Jobs still being there?
Well, it's obviously very dependent, but we think that it's very highly unlikely that he will be forced to remove based on the information that's out there now. So we don't see it as an issue, and it certainly isn't affecting the fundamentals of the business. When you look at iPods growing at a rate of 50% last quarter, in the midst of this investigation and all the man hours that they were devoting to it, it didn't hurt their business one bit.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Pleasure to have you with us, both of you today. Just ahead, Christie's is selling off one of the rarest and perhaps the most expensive, certainly one of the most beautiful cars in history, the famed Silver Arrow, expected to fetch nearly $15 million when it hits the auction block next month in Paris. But we have the exclusive first sneak peek for you